Hello, Facebook. I am back with a special guest today. Her name is Jessica. Welcome in, Jessica.
Hi, Angie. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And it's kind of funny because you interviewed me probably about a month ago. You've done a couple interviews since then. And now it's my turn to interview you. And that's so exciting because we're both kind of got the same interest in wellness and quantum and helping women and, as you say, mothers. And I love that. And so we're going to learn about you today. So, welcome in. And why don't we start with you're a podcaster. So, let's start there. How did you get into doing podcasts for people? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, it's kind of interwoven together, but most people wouldn't believe that I actually was very shy as a kid. I didn't really like to talk to many people, but I've always been an entrepreneur. I was always making things that I could and sell down down the street. And then as I got older, I learned about affiliate marketing and network marketing. My parents were in a company called Amway, if anyone remembers that. And so I always had a deep passion for kind of just creating my own way and knowing that I'm here to inspire and help humanity. And I really didn't really grow into my holistic wellness path fully until I would say probably right before I became a mother, when I kind of like woke up to the nature of what we call medicine. Although I feel like in my body as a child, I kind of always knew these truths and I just kind of started remembering them as I got older with the different life experiences that I had, where I lost my dad at 27. He
Mm.
had prostate cancer. I won't say that I lost him to cancer because really it was all of the treatments that they gave him. And at 54, he died, and he looked like he was like 84 when he died. And so I got really angry about that because I could just feel the truth of what could have helped him and what I had tried to help him with versus what he just ended up submitting to because he felt like he had no choice, which is what I feel like a lot of people end up doing. And so that kind of took me on a path and of really becoming very holistic and looking at what I was putting in my own body. And then at 36, I'm the oldest of five kids. So it took me a minute to actually want to have a kid because I spent most of my childhood raising kids.
Mm.
And so at 36, I had my son, who I love dearly. He's like my earth angel, Atlas, and he's 5. So I had a pandemic baby, a 2020 baby. And then there was a fire like 2 weeks after I had my son in Oregon. So it was a lot for me to go through. And that's when I woke up to what I call the mother wound on this planet, which is what I launched my podcast from or about. To me, the mother wound has a lot of different meanings. I call it the wound of creation, the wound of incarnation, the why the F did you bring me here? Why did I bring you here? It's the wounds that are passed down to children through unsupported mothers. And it's the wound of being a mother on a planet that I feel doesn't really honor the source of life and creation. And it's also that shunning of that deep feminine current of energy, that, that feeling that we're always feeling. It's that one that fully receives you as you are in every moment, that unconditional love that we seem to be searching for outside of ourselves, that really we can only find within. And so it wasn't until I became a mother, it felt like a veil had been lifted from my eyes, and I kind of saw all of the invisible labor of mothers and women on this planet and how much we really just don't honor the source of life and creation. And I went through extreme postpartum depression and imbalanced hormones, and just I ended up raising my son mostly alone because his father was traveling all the time. And so my podcast became, I've always, like I said, always been an entrepreneur. So my podcast became like this passion, this purpose that I have to really shine a light on other perspectives, and not just mothers or women's perspective, but I also bring on men to talk about their perspective about what that means to them, because it's not a wound that's specific to mothers. We all come from a mother. And so, like I said, it's that journey of like self-love that we're always on, whether it's what we put into our body, who we surround ourselves with. And so it's kind of, that's the culmination of everything for me. Is my brand isn't called embracewhoyouare.com. And so it's all about really embracing and loving who you are. And you can only do that when you actually show up for yourself consistently every day. So, in a nutshell, that's how I started my podcast.
Okay, that sounds amazing and a path just for you. And I love that. So how long you've been doing podcasts and what kind of topics? I know you talked about Mother Moon. What can you get into a lot of things that people, that you've interviewed?
Yeah, so I launched it in 2022. I did it for a year straight, and I then burnt myself out on it because I was doing everything. A lot of people don't realize podcasting, it depends on how much effort you put into it, but it can be like a full-time job because you're doing the intro, the outro, trying to go live, trying to promote it, do all these different things. And so I love really just like keeping it real like this. I think this is the best way to do it for anyone who's interested in becoming a podcaster. It's just really about sharing your voice and shining a light on other people's voices, which is what we're doing here. And so I bring on people from all different walks of life. They don't have to be somebody who's super famous or anything like that. I bring in a woman, a dear friend of mine. She has a program called Awakening Aphrodite, which is all about awakening Aphrodite, the goddess of love and the goddess of beauty, and really learning how to get in touch with your deep, that beautiful feminine essence. And so I brought her on to talk about her unique perspective on the mother wound. Another favorite episode of mine is a man named Celestino Corniel, who actually is an actor, but he also he calls himself the urban shaman. And I was his first student in a program called The Alchemy of Ecstasy, which is all about really working through your inner child wounding and learning how to reparent yourself and really getting in touch with your blueprint for your life and your deepest desires. Because a lot of us are really detached from our body and also from what we truly desire and what actually feels like truth in our body. So I brought on so many different people. I brought on you to share your unique perspective. I've talked a lot about quantum nutrition. So I have a series called The Body is Self-Healing, where I bring people on to share their perspective and their experience on their journey with quantum nutrition. Um, and then I have another series called Up Level My Life, which is really all about what are the different ways in which I can up level my life, whether it's showing up for Kundalini yoga practice every day, which that completely changed my financial life this year. It wasn't until probably last September I became really intentional about my yoga practice. And then quantum nutrition came into my world like literally a month later. And from there, I was able to co create over 100. I think I'm almost at 130,000 in commissions. And I did that in less than, I don't know, 10 months or something like that. And I've never had that type of success with network marketing or MLM before. And I really just truly attribute it to the power of showing up. When we show up daily with intentional practices and rituals and how we nourish our body, like our signal becomes more clear, our aura begins to like glow, and all of the right people and things that are meant for us, they just become magnetized to us.
I love that. It's all about the intention, like you said, showing up, and God put you on that spiritual path. And like you are definitely in alignment, and you can definitely feel that. I definitely feel that with you. Like you're right where you're supposed to be. And I feel the same way. Can you share two things about the Kundalini and then about your own quantum testimony?
Yeah, so Kundalini yoga, I think a lot of people think they hear it and I'm not really sure what everyone thinks when they think of it, but I think people just think of like yoga, like a yoga class on a mat, and it's a lot different than that. It's not so much about like stretching or anything like that, so much as it is about breath work, intention, mantras, mudras, working with the meridians in the body, the arc lines. Like we have an arc line that goes above here, and women have an arc line that goes across the breast. And so all of these things really contribute to how your system of feeling. I've decided to call the nervous system the system of feeling because it's interesting. Every time I think of nervous system, I just think of how dysregulated and nervous people are. So I've just decided to call it the system of feeling. And so when we work with these different um, tools within Kundalini yoga, with the breath work and tapping into the subconscious mind, you really are expanding your system of feelings capacity to hold and receive more and to be resilient in the face of adversity, whatever that is. Because you can do all the yoga you want. Like, life doesn't necessarily get easier. There's always going to be things that are here to dance with you, to I like to call it like when you're doing pottery or you're like refining something, you're being refined always your whole life. And so it's just like, what are the tools that you can utilize to help you feel grounded and in your center, so that whatever life throws at you, you still feel like you got this, because you do. And the other aspect is the quantum nutrition. It's I what I found with my journey with that in my own personal body is, if your body is in constant fight or flight and you're not nourished, you don't even have the capacity to get clear on what it is you desire, let alone call it in. And so a lot of people are living in the fight or flight or survival mode, and so they're not even beginning to touch creation energy.
Mhm.
And so quantum nutrition for me has helped me slough off, I would call it, like literally just like let go of so many things that were just ready to be released, whether it was emotionally, parasites. I released parasites probably, I mean, probably more times than I want to count at this point. I don't look every time, but I think it's like, it's not a question of whether you have parasites. It's a question of like, how many, what kind, have they taken over? Like,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
you're never going to be free of parasites. Like, we as a being are like made up of like so many different living organisms. And so it's all one symbiotic relationship as long as your body's nourished. But if it's not, then yeah, you have, I mean, we live in a toxic soup, as you know, like Care loves to say. It's like you've got microplastics, heavy metals, toxins, pollutants. It's just, it's inevitable. So you got to take your medicine with your poison. And I don't even call it medicine because it's food. It's like the cleanest, highest, purest grade nutrition you can find. And I personally, as I'm sure you have, seen thousands of people reverse so many things in their body that they never had answers for, and all these labels and diagnoses that doctors, these, like I like to call them, spells that have been cast on people. If you're ready to release them, like, you absolutely can.
Exactly. Yeah. I I definitely feel I feel you on that. And I like how you talked about the Kundalini yoga and then into quantum, because you definitely want to get rid of, like you said, the nervous energy and more like feeling, and doing the breath work to get you out of that fight or flight, and then have the nutrients to support a brand new system. And so tell us about your testimony.
Yeah, well, and quantum, I love, because like the word quantum, I don't know how many of us even actually thought about that word a lot until this year. So, and now
Right.
it's like everywhere. But truly, yeah, Kundalini yoga helps you make quantum leaps in your life. Like, seriously, almost like unexplainable events will happen when you start to practice this yoga every day with intention. One of my mentors, Casey Villard, she is the one who, she didn't introduce me to Kundalini yoga, but she's the one who got me to really like understand it on a deeper level, in terms of, like I said, the nervous system, the body of feeling, instead of it being about some sort of woo woo practice that is just like this yoga that was created by some man. It's truly like tapping into your highest source of power, which is your sexual, creative life force energy that runs throughout your whole body. And so, paired with the quantum nutrition, yeah, like I said, my layers of so many things have left my life. And also, I am more nourished than I have been since probably I was breastfeeding with my mother. I didn't grow up with healthy food. So, healthy food, I don't even think most people even knew what healthy food was until some of us started remembering it recently. Um, but for me, my hormones are completely balanced. My skin is the best it's been since probably my 20s. Um, my sleep is the best it's been in probably ever. what else? I mean, I could talk about my son too. He's 5. He hasn't been sick once this year, besides a 24-hour vomiting bug from probably eating too much sugar at his dad's house while I was gone for 4 days, and he didn't have his quantum nutrition. Um, so those for me are like the biggest proof of like, wow, when you actually nourish somebody's body, especially a child. And also, FYI, I don't vaccinate my child, and I honor whatever path other people think they need to go on. But I just feel like a lot of people just aren't educated on the body, really. They're just not educated on the body. That's really what it is. And so my son, like he's so happy and thoughtful, and he's not nervous, and he doesn't have ADHD. Like, I love how everybody just labels everybody as ADHD or ADD or whatever. Everybody's got some sort of disorder with their nervous system or their brain, instead of like, oh wow, maybe we should look at what we're putting into their body, or like how
Mhm.
much they are being in front of screens, or like all these different things that really dysregulate our whole system.
Mhm. I I agree. There's so many things like the EMFs and the food and all of the things going on, with society and social media. And you're right, we are dysregulated, we are distracted, and we are kind of like all over the place. And no wonder people have anxiety and panic attacks and stressed out. And you're right, we have to stay grounded too, and to realize what's going on. And you're right about education. A lot of people don't know what you and I know. And we don't know until we do get sick to know. And so I think there's a lot to be said on what we both do on helping people to be aware. What do you do personally on staying grounded? What do you do every day?
Well, I do my yoga practice every day. But then, there's also like the tools I love to ask people when I bring people on my podcast is like, what are the tools that help bring you back to center in the moments when, you lose your shit? like,
Right.
like oftentimes, like we can do our yoga in the morning, or we can do different things, but like, what are the tools that can like break that sort of like pattern interrupt in the moment? And so some of the tools, especially my son and I, we don't really ever have a lot of like challenges with each other, so there's not really so much that. But every once in a while, usually it's around a full moon, right before I'm about to start my moon cycle for my period. There might be a moment where it's just like I just feel like out of body, just like intensity. And so in those moments, I try to like press my feet into the earth. If you press your toes into the earth, or you can even press your palms, or you can rub your hands together. My son and I try to do something funny where we say chicken when the other one's angry or upset, so we can kind of like remember to make it funny and playful. And so for me, it's how many ways can I find to keep life curious and playful, even when it feels intense. And so some of those small little things, or sometimes I just go outside. If I'm like in a room with somebody and I'm feeling frustrated, I have to go outside. And so I leave and I go outside and I take some deep breaths. But I think especially during this season, which usually seems to bring out a lot of intensities in people's lives and old wounds around family or friends or whatever, it's just like, what are the things that and maybe you just need to start trying some of them. Like, what things can you do to sort of pattern interrupt those really challenging moments? And for me, have found that nature, if I can go like hug a tree or find some way to put my feet on the earth, something to just remind me that all of these emotions that are running through me, they're not me. They're just, moving through me.
Love that. And I agree with you. And there's no better feeling than being outside in nature. Even in the winter, taking that, big, cold, fresh air, and you're like, wow. So it definitely changes things with your mood and behavior when you get to go outside and touch the trees and I talk to them and all of that. So I think that's great, mentioning all that. So what do you want people to know today? Do you teach that Kundalini yoga, or do you tell people how to do it or how to go about it? Like, I just want to kind of, clarify on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had people for years tell me you should be a coach. You should, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really, I don't really want to coach people on a one-on-one basis. What I really love is to find the best of the best in wellness, whether it's products, technologies, or tools, or coaches, or other people that I would go to
Mhm.
personally. Because I'm a connector. I love to connect people with, like I said, products, tools, technology, ideas, whatever it is that I know that can help them. And so, what I've created and what I continue to build out for my community, the Embrace Who You Are community, which is really all about creating a portal or a hub where people can go and find the best of the best, whether it's, oh, I should go work with Angie so I should can learn how to help my terminal illness, or whatever it is, or I can go work with Celestino who can help. He actually has an amazing product I forgot to mention for men, so if any woman is hearing about this and she wants to have a more sparked love life with her man, I have found like the most amazing product for it's a male vitality elixir. And so he's the one who does inner child healing and all of that. And so he's my resource to send people there for that. And so I'm not so much interested in coaching people on a one-on-one basis, although you can book a call with me. I do offer 30 minutes of my time to really what I like to call like create or architect or design something that would work for you to get you on that daily nourishing of your body, the daily, what is that one practice or ritual? And so now I'm in the process of developing an app that's kind of like a portal of reminders. Like, these are the different products like the spray and the carbon 60 and whatever, and you can choose these, and these are the different effects. And now I'm going to be your reminder every day, your loving reminder. Do this right now. You need to do this right now. Do this right now. And then you can pick from different practices and tools, like whether it's the Kundalini yoga, or I also do um, holistic yoga, which I would also recommend so much for not just women, but especially women. I have discovered a woman named Genesis Dixon who she does this holistic yoga. It's 52 poses centered around the pole. And it's so good for your spine, for alignment, for balance. And of course, as you age, all of these things, they start to deteriorate unless you actually keep them going. And so that's another practice that I'm going to be offering within my app. And so just offering different options for women to choose from. And then they get daily reminders and inspiration to actually start to implement these practices and tools, and so that they become second nature to them. So that's really my overall goal, or my biggest mission is to really create a portal, an app, a hub where women can come together, they can connect, they can network, and they can also be inspired and reminded to do the things that nourish their body every day.
Love that, Jess. I love, love, love. I mean, what a genius idea of creating an app too, to help with coordination of that and the timing and reminders. I love that. And I just love all of these creative ideas that you have and all the things that you're into, and to direct and help everybody else, to kind of coordinate, like you said, as a connector. That's amazing. And I just love that all. And I'm sure that we're going to keep seeing you and see what everything you're into. Is there anything last that you want to share with people, or what's coming?
Ooh, let's see. I think next year in 2026, it's going to be a really fast year. Like we think this year was fast. We're moving into like probably one of the fastest years, probably the fastest year we've ever experienced astrologically. And there's going to be a lot of shifts, especially with like AI and technology and all of that. And I have had a couple people send me like videos about how AI is evil and all these different things, and just feeling a lot of fear moving into this new space. And I totally get that, and I think it's valid, but I think that how we get ahead of the big shifts that are coming is really grounding ourselves into this was all pre-orchestrated before we ever got here.
Mhm.
Everything truly always does work out, and really just opening yourself up and being available to all possibilities. I think that there is two worlds emerging, this sort of possibility for a golden age and those who pay attention to it, and like really an awakening to like, wow, we've come out of a dark age in humanity of like the medical system and all of these things. Like we're coming out of a modern day dark age. And so there really is a world emerging where people are returning to the earth and they're also working with technology and receiving abundance. And then there's another world that's kind of like falling away and disintegrating, and people are grasping onto it and they feel like that's their safety. And truly, security comes from within, and safety is what you need to feel good outside of you. But if you have security within and you know that all possibilities are available to you and you're focused on your journey and what you can do to inspire yourself every day, that ripples out to everyone else. And I feel like we do have a huge capacity to change the trajectory of this planet right now. Like this is like one of the most pivotal times in human history. So quantum nutrition, Kundalini yoga. I also work in the Web3 world in decentralized finance. And I think crypto and all of these things and AI, all these things we could be afraid of, we could also just shift our perspective and change our lens and get connected to the people who actually have big hearts and missions on this planet and who are using these tools for good, because it is happening. And I think it's a really exciting time to be alive.
And I agree with you 1,000,000,000,000,000,000%. There's people that are not awake and there's people that are awake. And you're right, the awakened are going into the golden age, and all these things are coming in that are really good and fantastic if people wake up and actually see that instead of being stuck in the dark, as you call it, the dark age. So I definitely agree. And I hope that this inspires people today, what you and I've talked about. Do you want to leave again your website and phone number for people to contact you?
Sure, yeah. You can reach me at embracewhoyouare.com. You can also reach me at jessica@realrawmama.com. And yeah, you're welcome to text me 541-622-1354. And yeah, the best is yet to come. It's truly, I have to remind myself every day, it's always in the lens through which you choose to view things.
Exactly. When you said that, I got chills in my body. So that's confirmation. The best is truly yet to come. Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining in today.
Thank you so
And
much, Angie.
yeah, blessings to you. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Take care.